welcome back to another edition of The Bader Show. I am your host, Mark Bader. This is episode 458, and we got a good guest for today. He's no stranger of the show this last couple months or so, maybe since the NCAAs. He's had one hell of a 2025. Let's bring him on. National champion, Hodge Trophy winner, world team member, no big deal. Wyatt Hendrickson. Wyatt, welcome back, man. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. I'll tell you what, I remember the very first day I actually moved into Stillwater, and I hopped out of the truck, and I was just like, it was so humid and gross. I was like, man, I miss Colorado. But the weather right now is beautiful. I actually I got a little bit chilly last night. So it was worth it. I finally realized, yeah, the summers are hot, but it's feeling really good. It's a great day of training today. I just got done. I'm still a little sweaty, but yeah, I'm wrestling Dustin Plott. Look at this.
Yeah, I was going to ask about your face. Yeah, well, he messed you up.
Dude, he's an animal. He's moving up to 92 kilograms, and so he's trying to wrestle some bigger bodies. And I'll tell you what, he's a little badger. It's hard to wrestle him, but it's good. It's good.
That's great to have tough people to go with. Yeah, first thing I saw, I was like, well, look at his face. That's pretty messed up. But it's looking great. Right, it's been a hell of a 2025. I just want to first thing get your reaction. We had a little film, right? I'm sure you're aware of it. I'm guessing you watched it, but I don't know for sure. The year of Wyatt Hendrickson, America's Heavyweight, the film. Did you see it? If so, what'd you think?
I did. I liked it a lot. When I was shooting my bow, that was some pretty shots. I thought you guys would have been like, wow, maybe zoomed in a little bit more on that, give me a little more credit. But hey, at 40 yards, I was pretty close. But it was a little snippet of it. But I don't think it got as much fame as it should have. But no, it was really good. I liked it. Obviously, my wife Emily, she loved it. My family, my whole family was sending me messages like, "Oh, no way, that's so cool." So that was obviously pretty awesome, and it was nice. It was good. But obviously, the lead up to Worlds, obviously wish that could have gone a little bit better. And obviously, I'm sure that's going to come up at some point. So I'm just going to go ahead and tackle that
Let's go.
now.
Love it.
The biggest thing that I've realized, so obviously after the NCAAs it was a big time for me. As we mentioned, it really was. I felt like it was my year. And after that, all these awesome opportunities popped up, going to these UFC fights, traveling here, doing all these camps. I did 19 wrestling camps this summer for clubs and high schools. So I was like, man, how come all the best, how come all the high caliber wrestlers, how come they're not doing this? This is so awesome. And I think after Worlds, I figured out why. Obviously, during that time, it was awesome. I did a lot of stuff because, let's see, NCAAs was in March, but then April, May, June, July, August, those 5 months, the 5 months leading up to the NCAA championship was just a pure grind. But most of those months, probably 4 of those months, was me just living. And it was awesome because I was like, I'm getting on the mat, multiple times a week. I'm still doing these awesome events, but I was living life. I had a great time. I don't regret a single thing I did. It was awesome. I think I had some great opportunities that I'll never have again, and I capitalized on them. But during that time, I think the biggest thing was, even though I was on the mat, because I was teaching camps, I'd usually grab a couple high schoolers, or if there's a local college, at Virginia Tech, I went and grabbed some of their guys and wrestled. And in my brain, I'm like, yeah, I'm training. I'm doing the right stuff. But as soon as I went to that final month of training, because I was in Stillwater for that final month, and I was, getting ready to leave, that's when I was like, hey, I don't really feel as sharp as I was before NCAAs. And that mental toll it kind of took on me was something that I just wish I could have controlled better. And there's a book. It's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F-U-C-K. The Subtle Art of Not Giving whatever. And there's a part in that book where he talks about, it's called the bad, the thought death of, the bad, gosh, what's it called? I had it a second ago. The thought trap of hell. It's where you think of a bad thought, and because you're thinking of that bad thought, you're like, oh man, I'm so pissed that I can't train enough. Well, now I'm pissed at myself for thinking about I can't train enough. Well, now I'm pissed that I'm thinking about it. And so it's just a loop that goes in your head. And when I got to Worlds, I just didn't really feel prepared. And it hurt me in a lot of ways, because going over, obviously we had to acclimate. Yeah. I didn't sleep for the first 30 hours. I didn't sleep on the plane. Then as soon as I got there, I still couldn't sleep. My brain would just not shut off. So I was only getting, I think one night I got 9 hours of sleep. Other than that, it was 5 or 6. And I was like, man, like this can't be happening. I need to get my recovery in. I need to sleep because I got Worlds coming up. And I just kept hurting myself mentally because I was thinking like, man, what if I never did enough? Because just leading the NCAAs, I didn't feel as good as I knew I could feel. And my coaches were doing a great job. Like, hey, that's all right. You're here. Nothing you can do now. Let's go compete. But I kept just doubting myself. I was like, nah, like I know the way I should be feeling right now. And so I really just hurt myself. And when things got hard, the very first match, mentally, I lost it myself. It was really me against myself. And that split moment decision that if you watch the match, obviously when, I can do a go behind, like Coach Taylor's yelling, like, just do a go behind. Or I do a head pinch because my brain, I just wanted to find the easy way out. And I was like, I could just do a head pinch and do this. And, that didn't work. And it's just, that was the match. And then after that, I was so pissed at myself for doing a front head pinch. Like, man, like I wish I would have done a go behind. Well, I'm still in the match. And so then he turned me 2 more times. The match is over. And so I definitely think that I understand now why some of the best caliber wrestlers, yes, you have opportunities to go teach all over the country. Yes, you have opportunities to do this stuff. Every time you do that, you're not training yourself. You're losing out on training opportunities that you could be having in the practice room. And I lost out on a couple months of training because I was teaching camps and I enjoyed every bit of it. But now I understand. So now I have a better appreciation for, hey, yes, I know I can go to all these camps and help these kids and maybe go to some events here and there, but is that more important to me than being a world champion? So it's really, I understand now. And so I'm glad I learned that lesson this year at least before the LA 2028 Olympics.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you tell a kid not to touch a stove. They're not going to realize not to touch a stove until they touch it, right? I don't know. Mom says don't touch it. Let me see. Ow! And you going through this experience this summer, now you're like, okay, well, now I've done it and I lived it and I see why it is the way it is or why the results happen instead of like Coach Taylor saying, stay here, don't do, or whoever. I'm not picking on Coach Taylor.
Yeah, well, no, and I'd like to add to this. The coaches realize that we're adults. I'm not a college athlete anymore. Yeah. I'm an adult. I can make my own decisions. And in coach, they're not going to, if you're not going to be there, like every time I told them I wasn't going to be there, they were like, all right, I'll see you when you get back. They're not going to be like the overbearing dad and be like, no, you're not going to go. They're like, hey, you're an adult. It's up to you. And so even during this time, I could kind of tell the coaches were just like, because I at some points I was gone for a couple of weeks. They're like, well, when are you going to be back training? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to get on the mat while I'm there. And they're like, all right, if that's what you're going to do. And after Worlds, I went back and I was like, Coach, like you were right, because he never really told me no, but he was just like, hey, well, just make sure you're trying to make time to train. And he kind of saw what was going to happen, but he kind of just, hey, like you said, you got to learn your lesson. He can't force me to do so. He's not going to force us to do something we don't want to do, because what the coaches have always told us is, hey, if you want to be a national champion, like we're going to make you a national champion. You got to show up. You got to put in the work. And that's very true. During the school year, I was here. I was present. I was there every day. I was attentive. But then the summer, it's like, hey, like they're there if you want to use them, but they're not going to force you. No one can force you to want it. And I think it was a big thing for me because I realized the coaches were always there for me to help, but I was the one that wasn't showing up at that point. The coaches always showed up for me. I had a good talk with Coach Taylor after that, and he was like, are you ready to start training for next year? I'm like, yes, Coach. Like, all right. Like, I understood. It's a hard lesson to learn. It's a hard pill to swallow, but I got to learn it on myself. Just like you said, I got to touch that stove, realize it's hot. And I'm like, all right, now I got you. I'm going to listen to everything we got to do. I'm going to choose to be a champion this time.
You said, I think what I heard you say a couple minutes ago is, I wouldn't change it. I would go back. I would do it all the same. Is that because the opportunity that you had, or is it because I would go through the learning experience again, or maybe a combination?
I definitely think it's a combination. First off, I was able to go back and teach camps of, the coaches that have taught me since I was like 5 years old. So all those coaches that have poured into me, it meant a lot to me to go back and teach them. I obviously was able to raise some fund. Every single camp I did, a big portion that went back to the clubs. A lot of places I taught, they got new mats, so I was able to do a lot of good. Yeah. And it was also just fun. It was a great experience for me. I think a big thing was also I went to the UFC 314 and I got I was front row watching some of the fights. Like that was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Met a lot of cool people. Like that's just stuff that doesn't happen every day. But at the same time, it was like best of both worlds because it wasn't like it would be different if I just wasted all the time and I was out just not training, being
Messing
lazy.
around, yeah.
In a way, I kind of was lazy, I guess, but I was still like, I was traveling, I was making it was worth it. If I just sat around and then, just wasn't training hard and went to Worlds, that'd be a different story.
Right.
But obviously, I don't think any of that was wasted time. But if the biggest goal I have is to be a world champion, my summers and my year needs to look different in the future, which it will. So it was definitely best of both worlds because I experienced like, hey, this is what's going to happen if I do this, but also I enjoyed it at the same time.
Yeah. All right. And then I believe you said something like, I did all the camps and I did all this traveling, and then I came back to Stillwater for the last month, and I didn't feel quite as prepared. And now I'm in my head, right? You're doubling. Maybe you're not physically prepared, but you're like double down on mentally. Like that's that thing you said where you're like, now the mental side's really messing with you. Like, do you think there could have been a world where you didn't have that negative mental spin on it, and things could have gone a little smoother, whether or not if your physical preparation was the same?
I think so. It's a hard question because I've been fighting with that back and forth, just like because after the match is when you're like, oh my gosh, like I could have done a little bit more. I think it was just I put a lot of pressure on myself. I put a lot of pressure on myself leading up to Worlds because obviously I had just defeated a really great wrestler. And so now I was like, I put an expectation on myself when I wish I would have been able to go out and relax and wrestle, like the way I did at the NCAAs. And I keep referring to the NCAAs because I know how I feel at my best. And I even taught Coach Roper did such a great job because some of those practices I showed up, I'm like, Coach, like, I'm not feeling it today. He's like, and he would change practice. Like, all right, now I was like, you had a bad day. You didn't have the way you don't feel the way you want right now. We're going to act like this is your first match of Worlds. Let's go wrestle a match right now. And we would. And I'd usually come out of those pretty well. I'd be like, and he's like, you see, even when you're not your best, you're still a damn good wrestler. I'm like, all right, Coach, you're right. But I think I just kind of, in the coaches, I've always, because usually I like being by myself, like the day of before I go out the match, then the coaches start talking to me. But I think what I should have done is I think if I would have reached out to Coach Roper again, which he was there, I was just like, I'm fine. I don't, I think I got it. But I had the resources there. Going back, I really wish I would have contacted Coach Roper and I guarantee you he would have said something that would have calmed me down. I think in that world, even though I wasn't feeling my best, I would have been able to wrestle with a little bit more heart, is I want to call it, because I could have given a little bit more in that match, but I was so mentally occupied. I never gave myself the opportunity to dig deep and, come out on top.
Yeah. Mentally occupied. Do you mean like, well, I guess my next, how was your confidence level, right? You say about mentally occupied, and I'm curious where your confidence level was, coming into Worlds or that first match. Did we lose you?
I was feeling really good. Training, it was
when I was training, I was doing our reps, but I think the biggest thing that I wasn't feeling prepared for was like my body, when I can go through like a hard practice, usually I still feel okay, but after those practices, like, oh, holy shoot. But really quick side note, sorry, I just watched in my house and I forgot actually another thing. I went elk hunting.
Okay,
and
let's see. Oh, the field
it's
trip.
just there. I thought if you want to see, this is it's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
he's a pretty big elk.
Antlers.
I just got my mount back, but yeah, back to the conversation. Sorry, I was just an outlier.
Right.
When I in my head was just, I don't know. See, I'm in my head right now. I'm trying to think about how I felt and why I felt that way, but there's just a lot going on.
Yeah. How about this? You were mentally occupied, or maybe there's something there wasn't quite where you wanted it to be on the mental side. Have you experienced this before in college or in high school, where a big event and you're a letdown to you, and that's not what I came for, was expecting, and just this big deflated.
Yeah, there was. I'd say it's pretty common for that was to happen to me in like when I was a little kid, almost most of the time. But I think the most recent time to compare that to was uh, the NCAAs my sophomore year. Um, that's when I thought I was ready to go. And then I was looking, usually I think, okay, I'm actually connecting some dots. This happens frequently when I look ahead in the bracket because I remember I had to face Greg Kirkleve, I think, and I never ended up wrestling him because I had to wrestle Christian Lance. And I was just so focused on the next match. I wasn't really giving enough focus to that match. And the feeling is like you don't feel that till you're in the match and you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm an idiot for overlooking this match. Because when you wrestle for a match, you have to mentally prepare.
Yeah.
And going into that first match, I was like, I've beaten this guy before. I know what I'm doing. But then as soon as like things didn't go my way, like just like I think, Mike Tyson, like everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face.
Yep.
And I start like that's when in the match my brain just started going crazy. And that happened against Christian Lance too. When I was wrestling him, my brain just started going crazy. I'm like, well, I need to like I was planning on having scored by twice by now. And so I'm, shooting left and right, taking bad shots, shooting underneath him. And I'm like, this is not good. And so and I preach this to everyone I teach camps to. I'm like, hey, take it one match at a time. Don't look too far ahead because then you're taking away. You might not even get there. Yeah. So focus on the here and now and you'll get there eventually. But that's as a kid, that was like every match. After I lost, I'm like, oh man, but then obviously as soon as I start to see some success, you learn wrestling eventually.
Yeah. Well, learning, right? In wrestling, there's so many things to learn in wrestling. How to step, where to reach, how to on the mat. But then there's all this other stuff you're talking about, right? That's not actually the X's and O's on the mat. There's just like how to prepare, how to manage emotions, how to, right? And some of it you did right, some of it maybe you did wrong or not optimized, as you've been saying. Did it ever surprise you, like, because you win NCAAs, you beat Gable, it's great, and then like now you're sitting here today being like, man, I learned all this stuff in the last month or two. Does it ever surprise you that I'm such a high level, there's still so much to learn in any different facet?
Yeah, I think that's also a thing that because Coach Taylor shows a lot of shots. Like he's got 4 shots off of every little situation, and I think I sealed myself off because I was like, well, I know I have a good high crotch, I have a good knee pull. And I kind of I limited myself. I was like, oh, I've got enough shots here. But then when those 2 shots are covered up, it's like, eh. So in the practice room, we've been working some of these shots. I'm just like, no, I'm all right. Like, I've got my good shot. And especially after the match against Gable, I'm like, dude, I've obviously, if I can finish a high crotch on him, I can finish a high crotch on everybody. But we're all different wrestlers. And I'll tell you what, this is another reason why I say I'm glad this happened. I have learned more these last 2 weeks. Just because I'm finally realizing, like, all right, let me look at the other guys, like looking at Zahid. I'm like, what all shots did he do? And he's got a whole arsenal of shots he can do from any position. And I'm like, man, I would like, because when he came here, Coach Taylor helped him out on all of those shots and he made it happen. So I'm really diving deep and forcing myself to learn these new areas and these new positions. And I've already learned so much. Today we worked on another position and it was like, just an hour and a half of grinding through it. And I'm enjoying this. I'm learning. I'm not just going into the room and doing the same reps of the same shot I've been doing the past, couple of years. I'm like, all right, I need to expand. I need to learn because, a lot of those big matches, they're one on a go behind. And a go behind something I'm like, oh, I'm okay. I'm good. I'm good in the front head pinch. I'm good in front headlock. I don't really need to learn that. But now I'm like, all right, if I do a front head pinch, coach, like make me do like 50 sprints or something. Like I'm breaking this bad habit. I'm taking this very serious. I'm like, I'm done. I can't make these silly mistakes because the way I felt after that match is the way I never want to feel that way again. And that's actually the same lesson I learned my sophomore year when I just mentioned I lost to Christian Lance, then I lost to Tate Orndorff and didn't place my sophomore year at the NCAAs. And I remember Coach Joe Johnston came and he said, remember the way you feel right now. Remember that for the next 364 days. And right after Worlds, the way I felt, the similar thing, Coach Roper was like, hey, remember how you feel right now until the next year. So that's kind of been a big motivation for me. I think I obviously didn't compete to the level of that I'm capable of. And I never want to leave, money on the table like that. I never want to leave a stone unturned and go to the tournament and come up short. And so I'm going to remember the way I felt for a long time, and it's already guided my training, and I'm excited to. We already have my entire calendar marked out till Final X of next year, so we got a plan. Now it's just time to execute.
Between that match when Joe Johnson said, "Just remember how you feel," and this last match where Roper said it, was there any match in between that had a similar feeling? Was it like, nope, that one, and then whatever, and then this one?
I don't think so. That was, I mean, so something that was similar when I lost. I mean, both times when I lost in the semis, it sucked because when I wrestled Greg the first time, I just became a spaz on bottom. I didn't. All it would have taken was a simple stand up, but I was trying to do Granby rolls, and obviously Greg's very tough on top, and he kept me down. So I kind of wish I would have chosen neutral the third period. That's something like, man, I wish I could get that back, but it wasn't terrible. But I think since I still like had some that wasn't like the last match. I still had some wrestling to do, and I finished out that tournament pretty solid. So I think everything happens for a reason. I think every loss I've learned something, whether I think I did or not. I know I do, and so I'm sure something happened there that has obviously benefited me the past couple of years. And then when I was wrestling Lucas Davidson, when I wrestled Lucas Davidson and lost, that was another. I don't know what was going on. I had like kind of like some medical things going on, but I mean, not to the point where that's not an excuse of losing a match, but I wasn't feeling great. But after I lost that match, I just went and bawled. I was very, very upset. But see, I at that point, I never thought I'd ever have a chance again. I thought that was my senior year. I'm like, this is it. I didn't become a national champion. Like, boo-hoo. I came back and took third, which obviously felt nice, but I wasn't happy. I was like, I don't want to take third. That's not why I came here. But then as soon as I'd say that was after that, as soon as I realized I had another year and I came to Oklahoma State, that might have been a similar feeling. I'm like, all right, I'm winning nationals this year. There's no other option for me. That's all I'm gonna do. So every single day, whenever from Coach Taylor sending me the national champion texts, or all the way up to when we were training, and he's like, hey, like we're not training to beat the top 98%. We're training to be number one. Like from all those conversations, I was very focused, and that was something I learned from that loss. I was like, I don't want to let that opportunity pass me up again. So obviously this last year, I was training like there was no tomorrow, and it paid off. I won nationals, but for Worlds, I wasn't training like there was no tomorrow, and so that's obviously I think why we didn't see those results. But hey, I learned it. I understand it. I'm ready to go.
If you look at a quad like a typical college career, no COVID, right? You're a freshman, right? 25, 26, you're a sophomore, 27. So, you think back to your freshman year of college and your senior year, how you felt and confidence and at the nationals. Do you think maybe could we compare and say, hey, this was your freshman season of senior level, and by the time you'll be a senior in the Olympic year?
I like the way you said that. I definitely agree with that. Because I think in hindsight, I mean, obviously I have many goals, but as a WCAP athlete in the World Class Athlete Program in the Air Force, their main goal for me is Olympics. Like Worlds is like, yeah, it's pretty cool, but they're like, it's like, hey, our goal is the Olympics. That's our home run hitter. That's what we want to make it to, and that's what we want to win. And so that's kind of the way right now, because obviously I made the world team, and they're like, hey, we're proud of you, but they're like, we're still like, keep training for 2028. Yeah. Which is, that the big hoorah. And it might, I'm even thinking like that could be my senior year, but also I might want to, 2032. There's a chance of that as well. So if my body's holding up, we'll see what happens. But obviously the goal right now is 2028, and it wasn't a bad freshman year. I made varsity, but I didn't win, but I like that. That makes me, if I made as much improvement as it is in college from freshman to senior year, everyone in the world is in big, big trouble if I can make that big of a jump. And honestly, since high school, I don't think I've like ever dropped. Now, obviously, I didn't compete. I definitely, if someone were to say like I probably peaked at nationals, yeah, but the only reason I kind of fell short is because of my own doing, not because I'm not capable of that. I still think I'm capable of even more. And I mean, even today, I was like, wow, I impressed myself today. My muscle memory was kicking in with some of these shots, and I'm like, dang. I'm like, Coach, did you see that? And he's like, I don't know where that came from. And I'm like, neither did I, but who cares? I did it. So I'm excited. It'll obviously, it was a tough year, but there's still more years to come.
Yeah, and I think I just heard you say, like, we've already got my whole year mapped out. Right?
We
What
do.
does that mean?
I have my entire
is
schedule.
Is it competition? Is it training? Like, and can you share some of that with us?
It's mostly the ranking tournaments. It's training camps overseas. It's the Olympic training camps. I'm leaving tomorrow for one. I'm going back to Colorado Springs. So
Heck yeah.
yeah, it's mainly just making sure that I'm putting myself in situations that are going to benefit me at Worlds. So going to these ranking tournaments, going overseas to train, that's going to be a big thing. So I'm comfortable in those environments. I don't feel freaked out, because that was another thing. I had been wrestling overseas. I'd wrestled at Worlds a couple times before, but the senior level is a different animal. And it's really important to be comfortable in those situations and control what you can control, and what you can't, well, just suck it up. And so we're going to, I think by the time final X rolls around, I'll have gotten 24 matches in, which is what we're aiming for, about 25. And I think at least 19 of those are overseas at ranking tournament events. Going back to Zagreb, going to Albania, I believe. So we're going to all those tournaments to wrestle wrestle some of the best guys, and, just see if what we've been doing has been working.
Yeah, and like you said, I think it's wrestling these top guys, but it's training, it's the environment, it's the uncomfortable. Right? I think I heard you say, like, if I'm uncomfortable, I got to suck it up and just deal with it, or handle it. And was there something? Is that physical or mental? Or are you referring to anything particular from this past trip?
Yeah, I mean, when I kind of wasn't, like I said, I wasn't feeling the best. My sleep wasn't very good. I wasn't eating, like, my diet was kind of finicky here and there. Um, and that stuff I maybe could have controlled,
Yeah.
Like, I probably could have brought more food from home. I probably could have just kept ordering food from this one restaurant every day, but I was like, it's fine. Like, I kept just conceding stuff. Like, it's whatever. But whenever I do get there and I'm not feeling my best, it's like, yes, everything's not perfect, but who cares? Like, that's
Right.
I'm the only person I'm hurting by feeling sorry for myself is me. I'm hurting myself. No one else cares.
Yeah.
And after that match, I'm like, wow, I put so much pressure on myself doing this, that, and I'm like, no one cares. Like, there's nothing I can say or do that can take back what happened. And if things aren't going your way, or, like, it was terrible. Like, I was at the point where I had to change my socks. I'm like, these socks don't feel right in my shoes. Like,
Oh no.
like, I'm
Not
wearing my
good.
socks down too much. Like, there's too much space in the right side of my shoe. So, like, it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
I was getting, like, when I say I was in my head, even coach was like, what? I'm like, I need to change my socks. It doesn't feel right. I'm like,
He was probably
it
like, oh
was,
gosh, this is not a good sign.
yeah, that's all. I was just, I don't know what was going on. It was a lot. I mean, I prayed about it, and I honestly, after I lost, it sucked, but I felt peace. Like, almost almost like that was supposed to happen. Like, hey, like, there's a reason you went through this journey. There's a reason that this happened to you, because who knows? Maybe if something else went different and I didn't, 2028 went south, like, you never know. And so obviously you got to trust the process. You got to trust that God's got a plan. And I believe he does. I've already learned, because maybe I, like, slacked off this summer. What if I went and took third and I'm like, oh, I'm doing everything I need to be doing? I probably would have been a lot more closed off to getting a lot more growth in this, time period right now. So, as much as it sucks, I think everything happens for a reason, and I'm excited to learn and, grow from this.
Yeah, well, that's great. That's a really good perspective. Another question is, like, obviously I was at Final X. I was kind of with you guys in the locker room, and I wasn't there the night before, but I come to learn, and these guys got video. You're out, like, not out on the town partying, but you guys got in. You're looking for food, and then there happened to be karaoke. You're singing karaoke. You're, like, having this grand old time. Were you like that? So obviously being lighthearted and like that is, like, good for you. And I could tell most of the guys that were there with you the same way. Were you that way in Zagreb? Were you lighthearted running around, or were you a little bit puckered up?
That's a good point. I was puckered up, and I couldn't really figure out why. Usually I like having fun. I'm the life of the party, just
Definitely.
hanging out, life of the party, hanging out with the guys, whatever it is. I'm always that uplifter. But I just, thinking back, I think I was really defensive. Like, Zahid, all the guys, they always mess with me. I don't care. But even on that trip, like, we were playing golf and they kept messing with me, and I'm like, guys, like, shut up, like, stop, like, just let me hit the ball. And they're like, what the hell's going
Oh
on here?
boy.
And I I don't know. Going into it, I think my attitude wasn't the way it should have been. Because I think I was, like I said, I put pressure on myself. I was frustrating myself because I was at the point where I'm like, when I say put pressure on myself, like even playing golf, like I need to be doing everything, or I need to be doing good. Like I know I can play good golf, but I was hitting the balls bad and getting pissed off, and I'm like, God, like I was taking everything so serious when it didn't really matter yet. And I carried that with me every day, whatever. I had a bad practice. Like, man, like, gosh, I had to wait. I wasn't thinking of like, hey, I got all these reps in today. I was like, man, like, I just don't feel the way I want to feel. And that's a great point. I was pretty, you can even ask probably all the guys, like, I was pretty kind of, like you said, puckered up. I wasn't me. I'll just say that. I wasn't my normal self.
Your normal self, I saw you at Final X. I wasn't like in that way around you guys at NCAAs, but were you the loosey-goosey, fun-loving, normal guy at NCAAs where you obviously had a great performance?
Yeah, so at Worlds?
No, at NCAAs in March, right? I'm just acting like,
oh yeah,
were you this loosey-goosey guy who wasn't puckered up? Yeah, okay. So yeah, I assume that was the answer.
It was just any other day. I was just like, but see, I felt so free. Like NCAAs, like the morning of, I was like, whatever, hanging out with the guys. We're getting breakfast. We're doing this. We're doing that. The night before, I'm laughing with everyone, having fun. Like I knew that's the way I wanted to feel, because I know that's when I wrestle my best. But then even at Worlds in the back, like I just put my headphones on and just kind of did my own thing. And some of those days was fun. Some of the guys we got along, we messed around a little bit. Levi Haynes is awesome. Love that dude. We had I got to get him better. He's a big hunter, and we'd definitely be good. If we lived together, we'd be good friends. I know that for sure. So I still met some of the guys, or got closer with some of the guys, and had some fun. But yeah, I mean, it's a notable difference, and I think the coaches kind of sense that. But like, there's only so much they can do if I don't ask for help. Like, they're not going to be that overbearing coach that's trying to, be in your ear all the time. They understand that we have our own rhythm, we have our own stuff we go, because Zahid's kind of different. Zahid has fun with all of us, but Zahid puts his headphones on. He just kind of, gets zoned in, and that's just him. We're all different, and the coaches know that. But yeah, it's a good point. I was happy at NCAA. Same thing. We're all messing around in the back, but I didn't. That Zagreb, that was different there too.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like, I mean, not even almost like, it's the coaches, the high school coaches, they got to hold on to the kids like this. The college coaches, they still got to kind of like massage, okay, keep their hands on. The senior level, it's like, all right, man, this is your job. We're here to help.
It's on you.
I'm not here to make sure you go to class or you don't go to class, or whatever, right? It's like, man, I'm not here to make sure you go to practice. Yeah, you do, right? But you know what I mean? They're like, hands off. You're an adult. If you want to do this,
exactly,
come do it.
If you haven't figured it out by now, and that's what I love and that's why it's so important, because the difference is, if the coaches would have had their hands on me this summer, be like, no, you need to be doing this, I probably would have had a little bit of resentment when I'm the one in the wrong.
Yeah.
I'm the one that should be training, but I'm going to have this weird feeling towards them. And then Worlds, I'm like, well, you told me to come back and train. It didn't work. And then it's like, it's not their fault. Yeah, it's still my fault. And so they kind of hey, man, you do you. Now, sometimes they'll give their 2 cents. Hey, I'm just saying, if you want to be a national champ, or if you want to be a world champion, you need to probably be good at these positions. And to get good at these positions, probably going to take a couple weeks of this, couple weeks of that. And I'm like, all right, well, and I'll be like, I'll do it at my next camp. I'll get one of the high schoolers and drill on them or something. And they were just like, all right, but they let me experience it for myself. They let me, learn my lesson, and I'm glad they did, because they're not mad at me. I mean, obviously it sucks, but they still got open arms. Like, hey, we're still here for you. We're still going to teach you to be the best wrestler, the best version of yourself. And so, we're back to training. So I'm glad I learned my lesson.
Well, it's like that parent, hypothetical, right? But you see your kid about to touch the stove, and just let him. They've asked me 100 times or whatever, right? Just I see Wyatt doing camps, and I see him off going to the UFC, and I think this isn't going to turn out well. But I'm not. This is not my. All right, let him experience it.
Exactly. And you keep bringing up that hot stove. I keep thinking that when you talk to my mom, you might have she might have told you that story, because I did touch the stove.
I talked to your mom, but I don't know if this came up. Go ahead.
I definitely did. I was that type of kid though. I was still skeptical. My dad's like, it's hot. I'm like, what? No, it's not. I don't care. And I'd like mess with them. Then I finally put my hand on it, bah! And I had, blisters on my fingers. And it's funny because my dad's like, told you. He was sitting there laughing. And so, I mean, that's the way I learn. That's the way I learn. For me, I have to feel it. I have to like, all right, that's what's going to happen. I kind of have to. That's the way my learning goes. I feel like most humans are like that. Because like you can't.
The easiest way to learn through experience.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but it's also like more. I mean, I wish I could just. If someone tells me something, all right, got it. But I'm too skeptical. I have too much of too much thinking going on up here. I'm like, I need to make sure. I need to do. It's trust but verify.
Totally. All right, man. Well, I know you got a hard out here in a couple minutes. You got to get I'm guessing practice, but this is good. And it's so funny because this is where I was going to go. I was going to have a couple softball questions and then and you're like, I know you're going to ask me, so let's just get into it. Well, it's obvious, and you're no dummy. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, even after the NCAAs, after the World Championships, I've been turning down all media. This is actually probably the first media I've done.
Awesome.
Because I've needed time to. Yeah, well, I like you, Mark. You're a good guy. So I needed some time to think about it, process it. I had to do it for myself because the day after, someone was like, "Hey, can I get an interview?" And I said, "I'm sorry, I'm not ready for this." I've been doing a lot of stuff for other people, doing all this stuff, but I was like, I need to take some time to myself. I'm not going to because if I would have done an interview, I'd be putting on a fake front. I'd be a fake person. I'd be like, oh, hey, yeah, it's all fine. And I was like, I'm not doing that. Because I don't want to say yes to an interview and just be like,
this sucks.
So it was like, I need to take some time to myself. And I think I finally collected my thoughts enough. And I have a training plan now where I'm like, hey, obviously what happened sucks. I'm going to fully acknowledge that. There's no way to sugarcoat it. It sucks. I definitely wish I could have contributed, and not only for myself, but for Team USA. If you look at a couple of us, I'm just looking at myself, if I could have just at least performed a little bit better, maybe earned some points, then, not only did I let down myself, but I feel like I really let down everyone else. And that's something obviously I don't want to do. I cannot be on the world team and letting down my teammates like that. So I've had enough time to reflect on everything that's happened and, facing the hard facts I need to hear. And I've made the plan ahead. So I'm ready to tell you guys how I'm feeling about it and be honest and open about it and not try to be all like, some fake guy trying to make like everything seems all right. But we're good now. I'm ready to go. It's been literally after, I'm not kidding, after these 2 weeks, I got back from Worlds and I'm like, I was at practice next day. I'm like, let's do it. And I was ready to go. So I'm excited. A new part of my brain is I'm learning this little side to side wrestling. I wrestled Zahid a little bit. I'm like, that's what it feels like. So I took him down a couple times too. So no biggie. I might not weigh him by 70 pounds, but weight's just a number.
That's right. Excellent. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming on here and squeezing us in between things, and really more than the honesty, you're just telling us how you feel and giving yourself a hard time when you need to, and just being honest. And man, I appreciate that, and you're authentic, and that's what people like about you. One of the things. There's a lot of things I like about you, but that's one of them. So
I don't know, there's not much. My wife loves me. I don't know why, but
I met her. She's the best.
She puts up with me. She is the best.
She's a good woman. Yeah, anybody can deal with you.
That's a hard job.
Yeah. But all right, I'm going to give you 2 minutes back. We beat your cutoff here. But I'll give you the last word real quick and say anything you want to say.
Yeah, I definitely think if there's one piece of advice or something I could share with people out there, younger wrestlers, when you have a loss, I definitely don't. It's obviously important to think about it. If you're in a tournament, hey, you got to forget about it, wrestle your next match. But as soon as if you really want to grow as a wrestler, you got to look back, watch the film, be like, hey, what went wrong? Was it something up here? Was it something I didn't practice enough? Was it a bad habit that I need to get rid of that's losing me matches? It's really important to learn from your mistakes, because I refused to watch that match for a week. I was like, I'm not watching it. I'm not ready. And that was a big loss. But I definitely think after tournaments, if you're in high school, even younger than that, even college, of course, learning from your mistakes is the best way to learn. As we just talked about, you learn through experience. And if you don't lose, good. But if you do, it's definitely important to try to learn from your mistakes. So hey, if you as soon as you make them twice, you're gonna be pissed. I promise you. You make it once, like, you make them twice, you're like, all right, that's enough.
Excellent. Well, great advice, Wyatt. America's heavyweight. I appreciate it. Wyatt Hendrickson, you are the man. I look forward to talking to you again soon. And as always, thanks for the time today.
Sounds good, Mark. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you.
Yeah, you're the man, man. Have a great day. Thanks. All right, folks, that's going to do it. Wyatt Hendrickson, love the insight, love the honesty. We appreciate him, and we will see you guys all next time. Thanks so much. Bye. Clear, Greg? Awesome.
Clear.
Thank you, Wyatt.
Thank you.